Hey, my name is Tyler Boronski. You're watching my YouTube channel where I'm sitting down with recognizable faces in entertainment. Today's guest stars in the widely popular Netflix miniseries, The Queen's Gambit, a story about a young orphan girl who is revealed to be a chess prodigy, but later on has to figure out her way not only in the chess world, but just in life as she faces her personal demons in addiction. Today's guest is Matthew Dennis Lewis. Matthew, thank you so much for taking the time, and how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Well, I was telling you off air how much I just enjoyed this show, getting a chance to binge it last week. And I've been recommending it like crazy to everyone that I know, and then obviously doing these interviews with your different castmates. And a lot of people ask me, do I need to watch chess to watch this show? I always say no. They play chess, but it's really not the main subject. I'm guessing you get asked this times 100. So what do you tell people when they say, Matthew, do I need to know chess to watch this show?
Yeah, no, I always tell people it's not a requirement as well. Obviously it's an interesting thing because chess is worldwide, but no one ever really thought that a show that was geared around chess could be so enthralling. And I think what really helps make that happen is the fact that everyone can relate to Anya's character, Beth. The show is about chess, but it's not about chess. It's about that humanity that you find within yourself and, how to carry yourself through life.
I always think about, for those that have seen the show, when Anya or Beth Harmon plays Borgoff for, I believe the second time, the one after she's hungover, and the way they shot that scene, yes, they showed the actual chessboard to show the strategy, but really a lot of the scenes are close-ups of Beth Harmon and all those sips of water and her just kind of being frustrated. Like you said, those are the humane qualities that people relate with at the end of the day.
Right. Yeah, and the show is a true testament to her and her ability as an actress. She's already made a very good name for herself, but the way that she was able to captivate the world audience in this performance is just phenomenal. The way that she literally just can look one way or the other and give you the complete feeling of what she's going through, which is also very interesting when it came to her role and what she had to do. All of those games that you see being played in the show, those are all real games. It's not just they're moving pieces around just to move pieces. They were all studied games and she had to learn the moves. Not only did she have to learn the moves, but she had to learn was that a mistake or will that help? That's the emotion she has to portray with her eyes after that move, because the audience may not know what happened with that move. It's really interesting.
That's great. I did not know this. Who helped her on set? Did they bring a chess master or something?
Yeah, we had chess grandmasters. Even though you don't see my or my brother's characters play chess in the show, we still had chess lessons and we were taught how to do proper openings and stuff. So that was a really good experience as well, have an understanding of the game. Because, everyone kind of plays chess when they're kids, get the game and stuff. But the technical aspects of it, like our teacher when we were doing, he's like, let me just see a few moves. And we did our moves. And he's like, thank God no one's watching you. And we're like, oh.
They're like, we'll just have you talk about the moves. We won't actually have you do that. Actually, in the last scene of the show, or the last one for your guys' character, you guys, when she's playing Borgoff and you guys are talking on the phone, you guys are saying some strategic moves. So I see what you mean there.
If you get a chance to read the book that it was based off of, it goes into detail with the chess moves and the square names and stuff, because each position has a name. When we were saying knight to rook 7, stuff like that, that square has a name. In the show when she steps away from the board, when she just tells them what to move just by hearing what they say. That's something that you can actually do if you have a full understanding of those squares. It's crazy.
Anya is definitely a big anchor for the show operates, and just what you explained right now with what she had to learn to do the chess, being in a lot of scenes with her, viewing from afar, what was she like in between takes? Because I can imagine it could be overwhelming for her. What was her demeanor like in between takes? It seems like they gave her a lot to do.
They gave her a lot to do, and you'd have never known it. She was so collected and calm all the time, just walked around set with ease and grace.
Wow.
She's such a wonderful person. I would love to work with her again because of that. She takes her job seriously, but she doesn't shut people out.
That's great. Pro's pro. Yeah, I saw some of her interviews recently with Ellen, and Seth Meyers, so I could tell her personality through there. Seems like a very nice person. Hopefully you do get a chance to work with her again. In this show, though, you did get a chance to work with a lot of people you were familiar with. Scott Frankie's obviously the director and co-creator of this show. We have a mutual connection in Christine Seidel, who's Helen Deerdorf in the show. Thomas Brody Sangster, another Godless cast member as well. What was that like for you to reunite with such familiar faces on this project?
Yeah, and also our friend Sam Soul, who was also in Godless, was in it with us. She was, the one that was talking to Beth when Beth was taking all the awkward trophies, in her room. So it was really wonderful to come back to that family because we all developed a really good relationship on the set of Godless. Scott also brought back people behind the camera as well. He brought back our DP, Steven Meisler, and Michelle Tesoro, our editor and our script supervisor. It was really cool to see all those people again, be able to already know how we all mesh and work. It makes the experience really easy, and also because we shot that in Berlin. So we were all overseas for months. It just felt like a big family vacation with work on the side.
What did you do in your free time when you weren't filming your scenes?
A lot of exploring. Russ and I, we just took the foot and we walked all around Berlin, see a lot of the historical sites. We traveled a little bit outside of Berlin, like by train, because we couldn't really go too far just because when you're on set, you never know if days will change and they'll call you in the next day instead of on Friday when you're supposed to shoot, just because, it's always an evolving situation when shooting. But we did get a chance to go by train out to another few small towns. Being there for 3 months gave us a chance to understand the lifestyle and, the German way. And it was really nice to see the difference between how they live and like how we live here in America. Like everyone's more laid back, they take things ease, they enjoy things more. It's very common to go to dinner and be there for 3 hours just because you're relaxing and enjoying people's company. So whereas here it's like, okay, I'm done eating, where's my bill, where's my bill?
I was gonna say, sounds nice, man, sounds nice. Just going back to earlier point with working with Scott again, now having the chance to work on multiple projects with him, what impresses you most about his storytelling ability?
What impresses me is the nuances that he puts into things. Like he puts so much detail. If you don't see it, you're just gonna miss it. But there's like such little things, like the simplest looks or the simplest way of saying things. And what I actually love about when I get scripts from him is to read it, because you read it like a book. Because he puts so much information. Sometimes when you get scripts and you're like reading through them for auditions or when you're filming, it's just like a skeleton of what's going on. But he puts so much detail into it that you know exactly what you are and what you're doing. He makes it so easy as an actor to get into that character. And the same with Godless. Like we get the question a lot, like what was it like shooting in that time period and like being with the horses in the towns? And I always just say, like, literally Scott made it as if we were actually there. Like when you were on set, you felt like you were there. The wardrobe, the costuming, we went to cowboy camp. And I think it just makes phenomenal work.
I mean, from a viewer's perspective, that's something that really did stand out to me was the set. And that wardrobe, like you said, just really putting you guys in that timeline and in that mindset as well. Speaking about that, because your character and with your brother, you guys, they brought you to the different sets. And in the show, you start off in Lexington, you go to Cincinnati, you go to Mexico, and then you're in Benny Watts' apartment. You had a chance probably to see more sets than maybe some of the other cast members would. So what would you say is your most memorable scene that you filmed, and how the set was a big part of that?
I will say, just for all those who don't know, even though we went to all of those places were in Berlin. A lot of people ask us that question. They're like, oh, did you really go to Mexico City? Did you really go there? No, we actually filmed all of it in Berlin. They did a few shots in Vancouver for like some of the New York City scene. I would say the most memorable part on set, the interior of the Mexico tournament, that location was just so stunningly beautiful. When you walked on, like you couldn't help but just feel like you were a part of something big. No matter where you walked in it, you were a part of it. So you were fully encapsulated in it. So I believe that was like one of the best times. That was like one of the first times that we got to see a bunch of the people all come together, because we were all kind of there on that same day. So like we got to see Christian, we got to see and his wife. It was that day that kind of really felt like the family reunion when we all got to see each other.
What was the swimming pool scene like? What was that like to film?
Cold.
Look that way.
The funny thing about that is in the script, that wasn't scripted to be a night scene in the rain, but that's what the weather gave us that day, so that's what we had to do.
Oh, wait, that was actual rain from like natural. I thought you guys might have just added the rain.
They did add some fake rain, but it was raining as well the whole day. So yeah, that scene originally was scripted as a daytime pool scene, but I just think it worked out so much better the way it did.
As a viewer, we get a chance to sit back, watch, relax, get invested with the show, get invested with your characters. But as someone that's in this show and you're going to pop up throughout the show, what's it like for you when you sit down and watch this show for the first time as a viewer?
You're just like, oh God, I hope I don't look stupid. I hope I don't look stupid. I hope I look... It's amazing. Truly, sometimes you forget, especially with this show. I obviously knew where I was in the show, but I was just watching it as a viewer as well. And I think a lot of things that people really don't think about sometimes when they're not in the business, they just think that like the actors know the whole show already. But there's so much of that we never saw filmed. We didn't know what they did. So it's really fun to see it all come together like that and be like, oh my God, that's what they were doing that day. That's what they were shooting, and you get so wrapped up and involved with that when you do come on, it's like, oh, there's my scene. It's really exciting.
We'll wrap it up with this. Like you mentioned, the show is based off a novel, Walter Tevez's 83 novel on the Queen's Gambit. The show was made as a limited series, a mini series. So these 7 episodes, but because of the show's popularity, there's so many people that are going to want to see Beth Harmon's journey continue per se in a second season. So as someone that appreciates good storytelling but is also involved in the show, is on this show, gets paid to be on this show, what would you like to see them do with this story?
Truly, any actor wants that second season. From your own point of view, like you want the job, you want the work, you want the exposure, but at the same time, sometimes you shouldn't kill a good thing. And I think something like the Queen's Gambit was wrapped up so perfectly. Why would you risk doing a second season and ruin that memory? A lot of shows do that. They stretch themselves too far and too thin, and by the end of it, people are just like, what's going on? I'm not even attached to these characters anymore. But also the thought that it was a novel and, Walter Tevis passed after writing that novel, so he's no longer around to continue that story. So some people are like, is it proper to then take his work and make something new with it? There's so many things about like morality and should we or should we not. Scott's also busy. He's working on 3 other projects right now. If they were to do a second season, they'd have to make time for that. Everyone's clamoring for it, but Netflix is very true to their word. When they say something's limited, they usually keep it limited. So, not to like get anyone's hopes up or break anyone's hopes, but you just gotta kind of go with that. Godless was the same way. Everyone wanted a second season, but it was limited. You just gotta go with the punches.
Makes sense. I personally do think, as much as I love this show as well, I think they really did put a good satisfying end, a good bow to it. And the last scene with her in the white outfit, looking like the Queen, playing out in the streets, I think that was a nice way to wrap up the show. All right, Matthew, thank you so much for taking the time. Congratulations on all the success with the show, and we wish you all the best moving forward and seeing you in your future projects.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. It was nice talking with you.
Nice talking to you, Slow. Thank you.